Most companies don't realize when they've stopped making decisions. They think they're in control. They review dashboards. They hold meetings. They sign off on recommendations. But at some point, quietly, without an announcement, the shape of their decisions started changing. Not the outcomes, the process. Who feeds the input? What gets surfaced? What gets buried? That shift is already underway in most organizations right now. And the companies that haven't noticed it yet are the ones most exposed. This is an AI clone of Ronald, the founder of Data Wonder. We build AI automation and voice agent systems for real businesses. Insurance companies, accounting firms, medical clinics. This is a deliberate choice. AI is part of how we work every day, so it makes sense that it represents us here too. If you want calm, grounded analysis of what AI actually does inside companies, not theory, not hype, this channel is worth your time. There's a pattern I keep seeing across different industries, different company sizes, different leadership teams. The pattern looks like this. A company decides to bring AI into their operations. They start with something reasonable. A reporting tool, an automated summary, a recommendation engine for a specific workflow. It works. It saves time. It gets expanded. More departments start using it. More decisions start flowing through it. And then, maybe 6 months later, a manager notices something uncomfortable. They can't quite articulate what it is, but the feeling is this. Important decisions are being made with information they didn't choose to include. That's not a technology problem. That's a decision architecture problem, and it matters more than most leadership teams currently understand. I've sat in rooms where this conversation happens, and almost every time, the first instinct is to blame the tool. The AI gave us the wrong output. The data was incomplete. All of that may be true, but those are symptoms. The actual problem sits one layer deeper, and I'll get to that in a moment. First, let me describe what decision-making used to look like. In most companies, a decision would move through people. A question would land on a desk. That person would gather context, some from data, some from memory, some from conversation. They'd apply judgment. They'd recommend or decide. The information flow was human-mediated. Imperfect, slow, occasionally political, but traceable. You could ask, who decided this? And based on what? Now think about what happens when AI enters that flow. The AI doesn't replace the decision maker. Not usually. What it replaces is the information gathering step. The AI surfaces what it thinks is relevant. It filters, it ranks, it summarizes. The human still makes the final call, or thinks they do. But the frame they're working inside was built by something that doesn't explain itself. That's a subtle but significant shift, and here's why it matters. The information you don't see shapes your decisions just as much as the information you do see. If you've been in a company where this is happening, you've probably felt it. The reports get cleaner, the recommendations get sharper, things move faster, and somewhere underneath that efficiency, a quiet question starts forming. Are we actually choosing? Or are we confirming? Most people push that question aside. There's work to do. The outputs look good. The business is moving. But the real question, the one this whole video is building toward, isn't whether AI is making your decisions for you. It's something more specific than that. And I'll come back to it. For now, here's what I observe when companies go further down this path. The AI systems start influencing not just what information gets surfaced, but which problems get defined. And that's a different category entirely. When a company's AI layer summarizes incoming data, it isn't neutral. It reflects the logic it was trained or configured with. It emphasizes what it was told to emphasize. An insurance company that instructs its system to optimize for claim processing speed will start seeing its decision landscape shaped around speed. The nuances that don't fit that frame, the edge cases, the outliers, the signals that don't match the pattern start disappearing from view. Not because anyone decided to remove them, because no one explicitly decided to keep them. This is one of the things I think about when we're building systems for clients. The configuration choices made on day one have long-term consequences that aren't visible until months later. A decision to filter certain data types for efficiency reasons can quietly reshape how an entire department understands its problem space. That's the second-order effect, and it almost never appears in the business case. If you're responsible for AI deployment in your organization, or if you're advising someone who is, this is the lens that needs to be active before you start, not after. Here's the pattern interrupt, because what I just described sounds like a governance problem, and it is, partly. But that framing can mislead you into thinking the solution is more oversight, more committees, more sign-offs. It isn't. The organizations handling this well aren't adding bureaucracy. They're doing something more specific. They're maintaining deliberate visibility into what their AI systems choose not to show them. Not just what the AI surfaces, what it filters out. That requires a different kind of system design from the start. It requires someone in the organization who has a clear mandate to own that question. Not the data team, not the IT department. Someone whose job it is to understand the decision logic embedded in the AI layer, and to flag when that logic starts drifting from organizational intent. In most companies, that person doesn't exist, and that absence is where the real risk lives. Have you seen this in your own organization? A decision process that used to be visible, that you could trace, question, reconstruct, and now moves through a layer you don't fully understand? If the answer is yes, you're not alone. This is happening at scale, and here's the part that reframes everything. The companies that are going to lose ground over the next 3 to 5 years aren't the ones that avoided AI. They mostly don't exist anymore. The companies that will lose ground are the ones that deployed AI without thinking about what they were delegating. Because when you hand information filtering to a system, even a well-built one, you are implicitly delegating a portion of your problem definition. Not your solution, your problem. And organizations that don't control how they define their problems will eventually find themselves solving the wrong ones very efficiently. That's not a prediction. That's already observable in companies that moved fast in 2023 and 2024 and are now quietly recalibrating. This is why the work we do at Data Wonder starts with the decision architecture, not the technology stack. Before we build anything, we ask, what decisions is this system going to touch? What does it mean for that ownership when a machine starts shaping the information flow? Those questions don't slow down deployment. They protect it. The goal isn't to resist AI in the decision process. The goal is to deploy it deliberately, with clear ownership, with explicit visibility into what gets filtered and why, with someone in the room who can ask, is the problem we're solving today actually the problem we started with? Does that sound like where your company is operating? Or does it sound like where you're trying to get to? That gap between where most companies are and where they need to be is exactly what this channel exists to close. If you found this useful, a like helps more people find the analysis. And if you want to keep going deeper into how AI is actually reshaping operations, decision-making, and risk inside real businesses, subscribe. That's what we do here, consistently, without the noise. Leave a comment below. I'm specifically curious, in your organization, does anyone have explicit ownership over what your AI systems choose not to surface? It's a simple question. Most people don't have a clear answer. If what I described today, the quiet drift in decision architecture, the invisible filtering, the ownership gap, sounds like something you're dealing with in your own company, and you want to think through it seriously, you can book a free call with me. The link is right below this video.